Great
I'm feeling myself
beer.
come back to life. As
Right?
To be honest, because
with each sip.
This is about to be a really sweaty interview.
Yeah. Just like alcohol coming out of that
just
pores.
boost sweats.
Out of control.
Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Y'all are brewheads? Yeah, we brewheads. So pour a glass of craft beer, we can do this. Yeah.
What's good, y'all? This is C, Certified Brewhead.
And I am Scott Beer, cold beer enthusiast.
And welcome to episode 53 of Beer and Other Shit podcast. And today we're here at Dominion City, hungover as tits, with Scott and Josh. Boys, thank you for having us.
Thanks for being here.
Pleasure.
How you feeling?
How are we feeling as a collective today?
It's a little rough. Things are a little slow around here too, for sure.
So yesterday was the 2017 CBAs here in Ottawa, Canadian Brewers Awards.
Yes.
We all partook in the festivities yesterday.
We sure did.
Had
We're
a great
paying for
time.
it today.
A little, hurting for it today, but
Yes, and you guys even had the unofficial kind of like little after party thing out here.
Yeah, we didn't know we were doing that.
You got volunteers?
It was great. We had, I don't know, we must have had at least 50 breweries represented here last night, and a bunch of dudes just hanging out.
Cool. Tapping you out of beer.
Yeah, it was great.
drinking beer in the brewery. Nothing better.
So everyone's pretty rough. I think you were saying the Brewers are out of commission today.
We had plans for a brewer's brunch here this morning, and most of them didn't make it. So
Well, more pancakes for us.
More pancakes for us.
Thanks for brunch. It was great.
sweet.
So you guys got some awards last night, right?
No, we didn't.
None. Sorry to rub that in. I guess you suck. Burn.
If it didn't hurt already.
I seriously thought you did.
No,
That's cool. Our good friends over at Tooth and Nail here in town
Maybe
did
that's what I was
that.
thinking
So
of.
Yeah, they got a couple for sure.
Yeah, because we were with them yesterday.
honestly, though, it's been great having just having people in town. I think it's the 150th this year, so Ottawa gets everything this year, basically. And
yes.
it's
Very
been
cool.
pretty cool for guys like us to have the Canadian brewery establishment come to our town and hang out and see what's going on. And we've had a lot of fun, maybe too much fun in the last couple of days.
Is anything going to come out of it, do you think? Like, as far as, like, I know you guys have some phenomenal collabs, which we'll get to talking about, but did you guys, I'm sure there's probably nothing you could really speak on directly, but did you have stuff like maybe that you finally put names to faces and stuff?
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, we met a lot of people who we've known by reputation and by Instagram, and to have people like that in the house. Folks from North Brewing in Halifax were by, and got to know the guys from Blood Brothers in Toronto, and love what they're doing. So there are a ton of people who made their way here for it, and
Fantastic.
It was a lot of fun. People exchanging ideas, making plans for future things. And
I love it. I think that's really what the conference was about. Like, it's a really cool networking tool, and just shoving everybody in a room once a year.
Totally.
Just to start yapping about it and shit cool ideas. And getting shit-faced.
Yeah.
Constantly.
The best ideas come from that.
So let's start talking about
what are
these
we
beers that we
drinking?
got. I think we're all got different stuff here today. We're going to start with mine. This is the Paper Salesman
Pale Ale.
Hazy as tits, just how I like it. You were telling me before, Scott, it's the Galaxy Pellets and
Mosaic
Lupulin powder.
Yes, and then lots of oats. Basically just trying to make it like soft and fruit forward and really easy drinking.
You said no bittering hops, all super late editions.
We've been going that route for most of our hoppy beers. Like, there's lots of people that have been doing that, and we love their beers, so we just sort of took notes
Do the
from
same,
them.
why not?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been doing that with most of our pale ales and IPAs these days. Just sort of dialing that in. It's been a little bit of a trial and error thing, but we're pretty happy with the little amount of bitterness we get and lots of flavor.
Cool.
So it was like a conscious thing to sort of move towards that hazy like styles for you guys?
The juicy.
Yeah.
This beer in particular is a good example of the evolution around here, because this the first time a beer by this name appeared was 2 years ago, and it was the same grain bill, but everything else about it was completely different.
Right.
Scott really went to work on it, and when it came back, it had its fans, and they didn't recognize it anymore and loved it. And the other people who'd never tried the old incarnation love it, and it's just kind of snowballed. But this is kind of what hoppy beers at Dominion City have become and evolved into over the last couple of years. So
I feel like we talk about it almost constantly. It's just such a cool thing to see Canadian breweries really like adapt to it. Then I feel like you guys and Bellwoods are probably some of the two that have really gone hard. And it sounds like interesting you said that the beer had evolved. over time? Because that seems to come up a lot.
Give the people what they want, right? Don't.
Yeah, I guess this is the trend. This is the direction that it's going in, and I feel like a lot of the breweries were maybe initially hesitant to kind of like get into doing that. Maybe because Canadians' palates hadn't caught up with the trend.
Totally. Yeah.
Any issues with that at all, or any thoughts on that type of stuff?
I think that when we just started doing it maybe 6 months ago.
Well, you were piloting long before that, but we released the first one probably 6-8 months ago. Yeah.
I mean, we take a trip down to Vermont and then try a bunch of delicious beers a couple years ago. Next thing you know, we were like, I don't know, trying to figure it out. And I was actually like homebrewing beers like this for myself, just trying to like figure it out, dial it in. So we actually had this on tap of my house for like, I don't know, good like maybe 6 months. That's true. Yeah, so I had a constant flow of it. But it's, I don't know, it's just sort of come around. Like, we really enjoy it, and it just, I don't know, we're always working on it. And, like, always evolving, more or less. Like, almost every batch of beer that we make, there's a tweak in it. Which is
gonna, like, improve it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we're always learning. Like, we're sort of learning on the fly when we started anyways, so it's like we're just trying.
We're still learning.
So and then we can exchange knowledge with other people, like at a conference like this, and exchange techniques, and so it's really neat to be able to try that on every batch. And sometimes we don't want to make things super different, but sometimes it's like, the drastic changes can happen, and it's awesome.
It's fantastic.
Sometimes we go back on that, but it's good.
Either way, give the feedback and keep it moving. Yeah.
I mean, the cool thing, I think, is like we're almost 3 years old here, which isn't that long really.
No.
But when we were designing beers, to open with, they came from my backyard. It's sort of like, the least interesting origin story of Canadian craft brewery, home brewers. But like the styles we had then were a product of what was popular at that time and even before that time.
Right.
And so what I think is cool now is that guys like Scott and the other guys on our brewing team are bringing new ideas and things I was never going to get to myself, especially once you get into it and stuff's pulling you lots of different ways. But now we have a team who get it and who are out there and they're like researching and talking to people and coming up with new ideas, and like we're making better beer because of it. Mm-hmm. And the really cool thing is to see that Ottawa as a market has really evolved beyond what they thought they were comfortable with, even since we've been open.
Right.
The idea that you can, release a turbid, hazy, juicy IPA, I mean, that's something nobody had seen or was doing, even when we opened. So it's kind of cool.
It's very, very cool. I love it. What do you got there, man? Same?
I'm drinking the same as you.
Okay, so we got twinsies.
Look at that.
What do you fellas got over there? That little sexy red guy.
This is this is a beer we've done before. The base beer is called Canada Gose.
Okay.
And it's a kettle soured German style wheat beer. And Gose is brewed with sea salt and coriander. So the base beers remain more or less the same since the last time it was around, but this time we introduced some Concord grape. So
nice.
It's the kind of beer you can taste in your cheeks.
Yeah. Throw it away. How was it for a morning beer?
It's actually working for me.
Tailor-made for morning beer. I think that's what it's
we made that decision on Friday. It was either carbonate this or like a coffee IPA we have in the tank. And so this came up. We thought that might be really nice.
It has like a mimosa feel to it,
Yeah, exactly.
Light and bubbly and fruity. Yeah.
That's sick.
Great
I'm feeling myself
beer.
come back to life. As
right?
To be honest, because
with each sip.
This is about to be a really sweaty interview.
Yeah.
Just like alcohol coming out of that
just
pores.
boost sweats.
Out of control.
It's weird how more of a thing makes it better, but anyway. Let's not talk about that too long.
Science. So I want to know both of your stories. So Josh, you are the owner and founder, and Scott, you're the head brewer. So like, up to you, whoever wants to go first. But like, it's always really interesting to see how people got into beer, and then of course we want to lead that into how this amazing spot came to be.
Yeah, I mean, originally there were three of us who started the place, and it kind of did evolve from home brewing in my backyard. I would say what we were really lucky to have had from the beginning is we felt very much community built.
Right.
The three young dudes who didn't have trust funds behind us or anything like that, and putting a brewery together is not cheap. So what we did have was a lot of really good people who pitched in early, got us to a point where we were at a point where we could be taken seriously to get off the ground. And then when we did that, I think we started putting pieces together and getting good people. So we literally picked Scott up at a bar.
That's kind of sexy.
Yeah, but I mean, really, I mean, you can speak to your own story, but I mean, you knew wine and beverage, and we're just getting turned on to beer, and you know, you literally Scott's been here as a volunteer since day one, and you know, now it's evolved to a point where we obviously have employees, and he's our head brewer, and we kind of run together.
Okay, tell us about the. How did you get into brewing?
Well, I was homebrewing very poorly.
As we all
start, right?
Yeah, it was really bad. But
at least you admit it. Right?
Oh, it was awful. I was like beating up grain with a baseball bat because I forgot to mill it on the first time. We've done that too?
We've done a hammer at
yeah.
a hammer. I was like, what the hell am I doing?
Right? Yeah. I got like 2% out of it. It was awful.
Good story, but
I was working in restaurants for a while, studying wine. I was actually I think volunteering to get some experience so I could maybe go work at a winery in Niagara. I wasn't sure, and then they were nice enough to take me on and show me the ropes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So so when you say volunteer, so you just sort of like, hey, can I just come and learn?
Do you guys need help? Yeah, and then exchange help for can you show me what you're up to, how to do things, and it was really just that, and then then I was working here.
It makes sense.
They decided to pay me. It was great. I was so happy.
That was unexpected.
We made it awkward to leave after that.
Guess I gotta stay now.
We probably had the chat we should probably pay him now.
It's been 4 years. He probably give something.
She was like, well, I think we could get another week.
Okay. That's amazing. So this is kind of like the brewery under construction right now?
Yes.
This is the expansion of your already existing brewery, or is this going to be the new brewery?
We're going to keep both bays for for those who aren't here. We just drove our neighbor out by sending liquid under the wall for about 2 years until they left. So.
It worked.
It works. Yes. And then we took this place and ripped it right down to dirt and built up a new floor. So it'll be a revolution to not have a lake every time we brew, warm on the floor. So there's
what's the size of this room now? What's the capacity? Full capacity.
Our capacity is going to triple. Yeah, in terms of what we can produce. The brew house here is going to be 4 times the size, and our total cellar capacity will be triple. So
amazing. I
mean, for us, we don't sell any beer at the LCBO or the beer stores or groceries. So
it's straight out of
everything we've ever sold is out of here or on tap in town. So
why was that a decision made?
It's kind of born of necessity. What you're not going to see is our location here. You're either coming to a great brewery or you're coming to face your death in the back of this abandoned industrial park. So we didn't have high hopes that people were going to come and hang out at our place.
Right.
So we focused a lot on selling beer on tap. Right. And as it turns out, we actually have an amazingly supportive community of people who come and hang out at our place. And we've got what I think is a really fun tasting bar now and a snack menu, and people are in here every night of the week. We're open 7 days. It's a blast.
Nice.
But we didn't count on that in the early days, and I think that's kind of why we were built that way.
Right.
And until you have scale, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Or we didn't think it made sense to do the resale stuff.
Would it also be because these type of beers, like these hazy kind of joints, they just don't have lifespan? Like you can't put Sunsplit on the shelf in LCBO because by the time it gets through the warehouse and all that, it's done for.
We won't do that. I mean, I'd want people to drink that fresh, and it comes down to the bottom line of we want that fresh and we want it out of our hands immediately. It's really good. We'll keep some around, put it on top of bars and restaurants, and people can buy it here. But we'll send other things for distribution that have a better shelf life and a bit better for that.
I mean, the cool thing about a beer like Sunsplit, which is very much in this vein, is that for the first time in our brewery's history, and as far as I know, in the city anyway, we pre-sold it and moved more than a third of the batch before it was out of its tank. So we actually had people reserving a minimum of 12 cans, and that was our way. It's great to sell something before it's even ready. But on the flip side, it means people get the beer super fresh, and they understand. Move this, drink it, get rid of it, and so it's out of our hands and hopefully out of their hands quick, and it tastes great for everybody.
Was that like a line out the door situation?
Yeah, it was awesome. We had we didn't even screw it up. I was really worried about the logistics, but we had a day where everybody knew they could come get it at 5 p.m. and. Thank God it worked. Everything was in a can and ready. So it's great.
I think it's good. We always talk about there's not much, and this once again comes back to the trends. There's not many breweries in Canada that can create the demand that gets people lining up. I feel like it's super rare. So
I think we felt really humbled about it and everything, but it's it's a testament to what I said earlier about Ottawa beer drinkers. I think the scene here, if you've been sleeping on us for a couple years, like, you've got to come back and take a look, because I think people here have come to a point where they have a lot, more that they know about beer and a lot more that they expect from their beer. If they're going to pay for a beer and they're willing to do that, it better be delicious, it better be consistent, it better be all these things, and people know.
So is that something that was that's changed recently? You said, like, in the last few years, because
we were here, maybe 4 years ago.
Yeah, it was
together
always like to go to BAOS,
right?
Go to BAOS and then come to Ottawa and do other stuff, and maybe go.
Now there's so many other
beer
options
bars or whatever. And don't drink anything local, and then dip out.
Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't talk about beer in this town without mentioning those guys. Like, I literally in 2006, those guys, cut down a forest and paved a highway for everybody else to drive on. Yeah. And it's a testament to how they got people to a point where they not only were open to trying a locally crafted beer, but looking for it and expecting it. Yeah. And so for sure, those guys were early out of the gate, and fortunately, they set the expectation that if you're going to make beer in Ottawa, you can't be an asshole. So that's been really good for the scene too.
Was that like an inspiration to me? Like, hey, this is possible. Like, because did you guys catch his keynote yesterday? Steve's keynote.
Yes.
So what he was saying, like, about didn't even think that people would want to drink a local beer or whatever, and it was only 10, 11 years ago. It's not even that long ago. Yeah. So was that for you guys being like, hey, like, you were drinking Bose, I assume, and then you're like, did that give you like some sort of like what's the word? Not hope, but like, oh, we can do this. Like, we can actually make a brewery and make good ass beer, and there's going to be a demand for it here. I guess that's the key element, is the demand, right?
Totally. And I mean, we were fortunate that we were a little further down the road. Like, by the time we showed up, Kitchissippi had been in the market for a while. Beyond the Pale was out, and they were doing really cool stuff that, I mean, it was just a departure from even what the other craft guys in town were doing. So it wasn't just like you can do craft beer in Ottawa. It was like you can really like run the gamut and try new things, and people are going to get behind it. So, by the time we showed up, we benefited from all of that that had come before us. And I feel like now, it's just picking up.
Right.
It's cool.
That's sick. So the scene itself has grown like exponentially, and like, is there any? Have you seen the difference though? Say from like 3 or 4 years ago to today. Like, what is the difference in the?
I'd say it's almost even down to like months. Like, it's maturing so much faster locally. Right. Yeah, it's crazy. And like, I don't know, social media, people see beers like this, or either way, word gets around really fast. And people are just very open to try new things, and that's been a big change. Like, it's happened a lot faster lately.
Interesting. You mentioned like social media like that, because once again, I just really feel like
very photogenic.
They're just so sexy. I don't know. I can't get past it. We were saying yesterday that we judge beers now. We look at it and be like,
that's not
haze. It's become like this new baseline. I'm sure it'll pass. Like, actually, that is another question. Do you guys think it's a trend? Do you think it'll like, clearly it's a trend, but do you think it'll stick around?
What do you think?
I don't know. They're pretty delicious most of the time. Like, you mentioned BAOS earlier. Like, we've been drinking their delicious IPAs since we started, and they're just getting like
better. Everything's hazy.
Yeah, everything's hazy. It's richer, fuller, more hops. It's awesome. Like, so just when you sort of think that like, oh, is this gonna go somewhere? It just like gets pushed one step further thanks to people like that. So I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
So do you make beers like this because this is the beer you like to drink, or is it because the people want beer like this, or is it kind of a combination of both of them?
It's lucky for us that it's both.
Right.
I
yes.
think.
Yeah.
Like, it started because
I think we basically had a mastermind from Fiddlehead and
changed our lives.
We couldn't believe it. Yeah,
it's crazy, right?
Yeah, he sold that out like 20 minutes online a few years ago, and like, so ever since then we've been chasing it. For sure.
It's chasing the haze.
It's a cool thing though about being in Ottawa. We're a smaller city. We got Montreal, not that far from here, in Toronto, and we've talked about this a lot. But like, you think about influences. If you're in Toronto, that market is big enough that you can have a scene of people, and it can be relatively self-contained, where it's big enough that people are exchanging ideas, and you've got your own kind of market that's on its own. And Montreal and Quebec have always had this great Belgian influence, and I mean, that's evolved too, but we're not that far from Vermont, and so we're almost like this weird mixing pot of influences, because we're not big enough that you could just look inward and just, see what other people are doing in town and stop there. Like, we've always kind of had to look to other places to get influences, and I feel like that's kind of coming to bear on the beers that people are making in town now.
Yeah.
Interesting. Super impressed, man. You guys are awesome. I'm really glad we got to sit down today. Where can people find you guys online?
DominionCity.ca.
And social media, is it at Dominion City Beer or is it just Dominion City?
At Dominion City on Instagram, and I think we're Dominion City BC on Twitter.
Okay, yeah, for Brew Co. Perfect. So that's it, guys. Thank you very much for joining us. Really
Blast.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed the podcast on Apple Podcasts, it's called now. Review, rate, and subscribe. Check us out on YouTube. Subscribe as well, and follow us at BAOS Podcast on social media. I have to say that. That's it, guys. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.